The 6.5 is back, and we are talking about AI with Samsung. I'm joined by my incredible co host, Daniel Newman. Daniel, does it seem like we have been researching and pontificating and doing videos all on AI for the last 9 months?
It does. It feels like it's been a focus for you and I for much more than that. But it feels like over the last 9, even maybe 12, sometime around November of 2022, it became the only thing. And Pat, it isn't the only thing, but it is really important. And getting the stories and understanding how companies are approaching AI and talking to their leaders has to be something that you and I are doing to make sure the market knows what's going on.
Exactly. And there's so many ways you can take advantage of generative AI, machine learning, deep learning, from the software to the services to the semiconductors to memory to doing fabrication for all the semiconductors and everything in between. And it's with that I am pleased to bring on Samsung's Jinman, Jim, Marco. Welcome to the 6.5. Great to have everybody on the show. We have some first time guests, the 6.5, but we also have some veterans with Jim and Jinman. It's great to see everybody. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having us. Always exciting. Excited to see you guys in this great platform, 6.5.
I appreciate that. Is it better than F1? I don't know. It was great seeing you there too.
I think we can do it all, Pat. I think F1's a great place to hang out and have some social conversations. I also think that the 6.5 is a great place to analyze the AI space and talk about what companies like Samsung Semiconductor are doing. And it's great to have all you here. And Jimon, I want to start with you. I want to talk vision with you. Every company right now is responsible, if you're in technology, really, if you're using technology, to be talking about how AI is shaping the future of your business and your company. That's no different for Samsung Semiconductor. Love to hear from you. Kind of what is your vision in terms of how AI is shaping your business?
Wow, the vision is a pretty big word. And you know what? I had a chance to attend APAC meeting discussing with colleagues from Japan, USA, all different countries. And we were having the similar conversation. And I told them our vision, our Samsung's vision for AI is we really want to be a major hardware supplier, so to speak, bedrock for this AI industry. USA is very good at having great engineers for software, right? But all the great AI software also needs much, much better, efficient hardware, right? So unless you have a great bedrock in hardware, it's really tough to have the best performance out of AI software. So this is the vision. We have memory, foundry, systematic side. We even have packaging capabilities, which will be essential in providing great hardware platform to all the customers in USA who are right now working very hard to come up with great AI software capability. This is our vision. Very
Yeah,
simple.
no, I love that. And, it's funny, you hit on something that Dan and I talk about a lot as it relates to hardware versus software and services. You've heard the expression software is going to eat the world, which, by the way, it does. But what is it going to run on? Air, right? I mean, it needs solid hardware to make, to create all those incredible experiences for both consumer and enterprises. And just as a follow up, Jinman, to the vision question, I'm a mission, vision, objective, strategy person, and I'm curious, can you describe some of the more finite areas of your strategy and how you're going to achieve that vision?
Okay, so right now, everyone's talking about AI capability in hyperscalers. But these days, a lot of our customers are starting to talk about on-device AI, especially on smartphone and PCs. And when we are talking about large language model for on-device edge application, we also have to think about it's a kind of a oxymoron statement, but we really need small, large language model. so that they can be fit into the small devices like smartphones or PCs. And at the same time, we also need this challenging requirement from our customers. Hey, we're gonna put our small large language model, which is about 10 billion parameters, which is not as big as 200 billion or 175 billion models, but 10 billion model parameters are not that small actually. But to fit those models in smartphones or PCs, you also need to have a very low latency at the same time with very low power. So that's the challenge we are seeing right now from our customers. So in that regard, it's almost always about memories. So memory has to be very fast. It has to have a big density. So delivering low latency, very high speed data to the AP or system on chip at the same time with low power. That's the challenge we are now seeing. And in that area, I think Samsung is in perfect position to supply those technologies to our customers. So that's the immediate requirements that Samsung is seeing right now.
Yeah, it's really interesting, Pat. You and I have talked no less than feels like 100 times on this show about the symbiotic relationship between memory and the rest of the compute architecture, and how effectively it doesn't always get the attention it deserves. But try running these really advanced workloads without enough memory and without low enough latency, performance enough memory. And this is why we always end up turning back to teams like yours in this particular industry, because we know, and the world needs to know, the important relationship. Marco, I'd like to jump to you, and after you, I mean, I'd like to hear from all of you, because I realize you all have slightly different roles in the company. But where do you take this strategy to? Like, what are the markets? What is the approach that Samsung Semiconductor has to be able to win? And what customers are you going after first? And how do you see that evolving?
Yeah, as Jinman said, uh, the pillar of the strategy is to offer the best possible hardware to build all these AI machines. And we do that really both providing leading edge technology from a foundry perspective. The industry is today reached basically physical limit. We are manufacturing 3, 2 nanometer with a roadmap to 1.4, 1 nanometer for the most advanced and demanding processor unit. And then, of course, we offer that platform in conjunction with memory for HBM or advanced memory, and we stitch all together with advanced packaging, 2.5 3D packaging, or a combination of both, which is 3.5. In doing that, we address a variety of market and a variety of customers. Of course, first and foremost, data center AI, and we do that targeting a large semiconductor player and hyperscaler, as well as a lot of AI startups which are now developing a very differentiating ASIC AI solution, and very promising one that I think will come to the market in the next 12 to 24 months. And then we do that on edge AI. As Jinman will say, we're really very focused on AI on device, and because we believe that edge AI will grow as a market for inference on device, right? Targeting a smartphone, a PC, and auto. And these three market and these three type of devices, we believe, will be completely transformed in terms of user experience by AI. And so we offer all these super advanced technologies that stitch together, and ultimately we'll be able to give our customer and our end market the type of technology boost that they need to address the super demanding computing AI application.
Yeah, on-device AI it's not a question of if, it really is a question of when. All the things, all the magic tricks we want to do with generative AI require this data to be on the device. And uh, even in Western cultures who have no problem sharing everything, they're not going to want to share every text, every image, every conversation that they're having in real time. They're going to want that to be on the device, and those 10 billion parameter models really come into play.
I think
So
that's true for the device and also within the enterprise as well, because if you think about on-device AI at the enterprise level, if you're doing like code debugging or having AI review your financial plans, things of that nature, you don't want to use publicly available data. This is all going to have to be kept in-house. And so from that standpoint, you think about on-device AI, it's at the client level, PC and phones, and these devices are going to be smarter and smarter. But it's also, you're going to see it at the enterprise level on-prem, right? With internal data sets to maintain that IP confidentiality. So it's going to be very, very interesting. And especially as the data sets become larger and larger and heavier, the density of that data, it becomes very expensive to move all that around, which means you're going to need potentially faster and higher storage capacities at the edge as well as at the client level.
yeah, so Jim, as analysts, right, we don't actually have to execute any of this stuff. Hey, I did for 20 years, so I had a real job. Analysts hate when I say that, by the way, but it is hard to do it. And I'm curious, what are some of the challenges that some of your customers are having getting to this stage of taking advantage of AI for their businesses or for their customers' customers?
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, in the short term, it's all about LLM, large language models in the cloud, right? So there, it's all about bandwidth and higher capacity to be able to build out and utilize these models. I think longer term, that's going to shift over to more of a edge device, on-device AI type of model where you have to, in addition to storage size, capacity, and bandwidth, you're going to have power requirements, as Jinman was touching upon. Now, also, a lot of these big LLMs in the cloud are limited by the amount of power that a cloud company can get access to. So that's also something that's coming into focus. But I think ultimately, the way I see AI sort of building out over time, it's sort of like the democratization of AI, right? Where an AI platform will be opened up to hundreds of thousands or millions of potential external, like third-party developers that will be able to create new AI-based applications for consumers that will be as ubiquitous today as or in the future as like the app platform is that kind of burst onto the scene like 15 years ago. I think we're going to see that same type of activity with the democratization of AI as this starts to become monetized in the future.
And also, one issue that keeps coming up during the discussion with our customers is all about power consumption.
Mm-hmm.
They are really concerned about power consumption of this powerful GPU or even memory, high bandwidth memories. So, one time, I asked the executives in AI GPU firms asking how I can solve the problem. They said, "Well, Jim, but that's might be the reason why we have to build this large language model to ask questions, how to save power for the humankind in the future." But it's really a real problem right now that we are facing right now. So to address those issues, our customers are talking about all different kinds of new memory architecture, combining with GPU or SoC design. So in the future, we might be able to see totally different novel memory architecture combined with GPU or CPU so that we can address those power issues at the same time, increase performance without burning too much power. So it's going to be a very, very interesting period, especially for us in the industry.
And look, maybe I will add, look, Jinman and Jim brought up a critical point with respect to product performance, power performance, which of course now are front and center and the most critical points to address for the industry. But there is an increasing sensitivity now for customer with respect also to geopolitical aspect, because of course AI is going to be a very critical transformative technology. And I think customers are also getting increasing sensitivity on how to source the hardware component. They want increasing diversify of supply. They want increasing diversification from a geopolitical point of view. And that's also where Samsung has a lot to offer, right? And we feel the customer, of course, are very responsive, extremely responsive to that, to that component as well.
It's very prudent that you brought up all of these particular points, Jinman, starting with sustainability. We are hearing the same thing, talking to enterprises and large organizations. It's a problem. Their shareholders and stakeholders expect the companies to be making this part of the calculus in their decision making process. And then, of course, the geopolitics are very substantial, and it's in the news. It's a headline every single day. We want to be working with trade partners that share value. And that is something that is going to continue to be of the utmost importance. And in the process of doing all this, we still need very performant applications and computing architectures that enable our businesses to keep their technology and global market leadership. And so there's no sacrifices here. And I'm hearing from you that there's no sacrifices on your end in what you're building and developing. So let's talk about that, because we've kind of talked roundly about what you're doing, vision and strategy. We've talked about the challenges of your customers, but let's talk about what you're offering. Jim, I'd like to direct this one at you, but if you could share a little bit about what is the Samsung portfolio, what is the offering that you're bringing to market that is going to win for you to execute against this vision?
Yeah, so from a memory standpoint, it's all about having a very, very wide portfolio. And I think as Jinman touched upon, you've got CPU architectures, GPU architectures, TPU architectures, and as well as custom ASICs that are being driven for these sort of purpose-built AI applications and opportunities. So from our standpoint, we want to have HBM3, HBM3E, which is the fastest speed and better power footprint, being able to accommodate high bandwidth type needs, high capacity DRAM like DDR5. And we just announced a 32 gigabit monolithic device. And without getting into too much detail, really what that allows us to do is build a higher capacity DRAM module that uses less power. So this allows us to produce at scale for performant applications that aren't going to need to use as much power. We also have graphics GDDR6, GDDR7, and then LP5, as well as looking at like UFS 4.0 as you get out into these client or edge type devices. But in addition to having that wide portfolio and leading edge technology portfolio that Samsung is always well known for and renowned for, it's all about the ability to scale production for these sort of hyperscale level and mass markets that we've been talking about. And that's really where Samsung is able to leverage our financial, our technology, and our production wherewithal to bring these AI products to market for both cloud, enterprise, and client products. There's another point to be made there on the 32 gigabit monolithic. So today, to build a 128 gigabyte RDIMM DDR5,
Right.
you have to use a 16 gigabit and then utilize TSV or through silicon via, which, as you guys may have heard, is a big bottleneck for HBM production.
Totally.
So if we can alleviate that or mitigate some of that by producing a 32 gigabit monolithic, number one, you get less power, but number two, you get better overall production efficiencies because you don't have to utilize TSV technology, and you can free that up to be used elsewhere. So it's kind of a win-win solution from an efficiency, from a cost, and from a power perspective.
Yeah, I appreciate you going through what I call the diversity of memory. I mean, years back, it was one type of memory, and that this is what you got. And now
Much more
we have
complicated.
yeah, I mean, we've got mobile memory, we have GDDR, we have HBM, we have specific memory that operates better in the data center, and everything in between. And this pervasiveness of memory types, I think, reflects how hard it's been for the industry as a whole to
That's
get
right.
these gains from everything. And quite frankly, what we've done is we've gone to accelerated computing. Is not only have we pushed some of the burden onto the programmer, but we push the burden onto the memory makers, which, by the way, is a good thing for you.
Your point, I think that the major arc here is going from that general purpose compute to this very sort of application specific compute, be it in the cloud or at the client. So yeah, 100%.
Actually, long time ago, I remember buying memory modules when I going to Fry's Electronics. those those days are gone. I'm afraid.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of specialty stuff out there, but it's important to keep those innovations going regardless of what might be happening with some different type of architecture. So, uh, we Jim, you outlined the different types of pieces that you have, and I'm curious, and it's funny. I'm going to put Marco on the spot here. How is it differentiated? You know, I hear some of the basic terms from other companies, and how is Samsung differentiated?
Well, as we were saying, so I would say the biggest first differentiation is the fact that we can offer so many different technologies as a one-stop shop, right? Uh, Jim offer these most advanced DRAM and HBM. I offer the Foundry services. We have an entire new team that will offer advanced packaging. So you can find a place where you can really put together all these different technology under a single umbrella. That would say it's the most important differentiation, as you know, AI is going to go chiplet for economic reason.
Right.
You want to manufacture different part of the chip and different technology nodes. You will keep the most advanced and bleeding edge technology on the part of the chip that really needs to go at the most advanced performances, and you will keep everything n-1 or n-2 for cost reason, and same for memory, right? We also differentiate ourselves from a sheer point of view of process technology. We have been first in the market with gate-all-around. With gate-all-around, we hope to restart voltage scaling, which is very important for power, right? Which, as you know, it's critical for the industry, as we discussed. And we hope to restart the 20-30% power improvement scaling between nodes. We gate-all-around. We have been first to gate-all-around. We are already at this, with our second generation in the market, and we're ready to launch our third generation next year. And we think that would be really critical for data center and power sensitive application. We finally provide also, in terms of differentiation, the packaging. And packaging, we believe, is going to be a core differentiation. Because the type of packaging we're doing, it's a clean room type of packaging now. It's really extraordinarily advanced, and stitching this chip together on top of each other in 3D stacking, it's going to become really extraordinarily complex.
Well, gentlemen, I want to say on behalf of the 6.5 that we really appreciate you all taking the time. For Patrick and I, we set out to do the 6.5 on AI because we felt that every day we were being pitched by companies from chips to SaaS, as we like to say, all trying to tell us why what they're doing is unique. But what we were feeling was we were hearing a lot of the same things on repeat. So we said, we're going to go deeper. We're going to talk to the senior leadership, and we're going to make them really explain what they're doing. And I think the three of you have done a fantastic job of breaking this down for us. We really look forward to sharing this with our extended communities, because what Samsung Semiconductor is doing is very important. And we believe the company has a really important role to play in the advancement of AI. So thank you all so much. Hope to have you back on our show again soon.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Great to see you.
Thank you.
All right, everybody, hit that subscribe button. Join us for all of our episodes of the 6.5 on AI and our other insiders on the road, and of course, our weekly show. For this episode of 6.5 on AI, for Patrick Moorhead and myself, it's time to say goodbye, but we look forward to seeing you all really soon.